No, that I know. I got it. I got it.
Hine matov uma naim sheverachim sheverachim gam yachad. Hine matov uma naim sheverachim sheverachim gam yachad. Hine matov uma naim sheverachim gam yachad. Hine matov umanaim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov umanaim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov umanaim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov umanaim shevet achim gam yachad.
Good evening and Shabbat Shalom. Let's turn to the middle of page 124 of our prayer books and page 1 of the satellite Siddur for those joining us by live stream, and we'll read together. May the door of this synagogue be wide enough to receive all who hunger for love, all who are lonely for friendship. May it welcome all who have cares to unburden, thanks to express, hopes to nurture. May the door of the synagogue be narrow enough to shut out pettiness and pride, envy and enmity. May its threshold be no stumbling block to young or straying feet. May it be too high to admit complacency, selfishness, and harshness. May the synagogue be, for all who enter, the doorway to a meaningful life. We invite Heather Greenfield up to light our Sabbath candles as we rise and turn to page 120 of our prayer books or page 1 of the satellite Siddur.
O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, start again. O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. Let's continue reading together.
Bless all who enter this sanctuary in need, all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbos. Amen. And then in English. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner להדליק נר של שבת.
Please be seated. Let's turn to page 125 of our prayer books. Where has this week vanished? Is it lost forever? Will I ever recover anything from it? The joy of life, the unexpected victory, the realized hope, the task accomplished? Will I ever be able to banish the memory of pain, the sting of defeat, the heaviness of boredom? On this day, let me keep for a while what must drift away. On this day, let me free of the burdens that must return. On this day, Shabbat abide. Let's read together. To withdraw for a while from the flight of time, contain the retreat of the hours and days from the grasp of frantic life. Let me learn to pause, if only for this day. Let me find peace on this day. Let me enter into a quiet world this day. This day, Shabbat abide. May these Shabbat hours of rest and renewal now begun open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day, and may this day fulfill its promise for us all.
We continue on page 138 in Mishkan Tefillah, page 2 in the Satellite Siddur with Lecha Dodi. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. 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 Shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad, Hishmi'anu el hamiuchad, Adonai echad, u'shemo echad, l'shemo tiferet v'litila. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Last verse. Boi v'shalom aderet ba'ala, Gam b'simcha uv'tzola, toch emunei am segula, boi chala, lecha Dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. On page 144, responsively. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, ve'alma divarach hirutei, ve'amlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei l'chol beit Yisrael. Bagala, u'vizman קריב, ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבם מברך, לעולם ולעלמי עלמיה, יתברך, יתברך, וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם, ויתנשא, ויתהדר, ויתהלל, ויתהלל, שמי לקודשו בריחו, לעילה מן כל ברכתה, ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירן בעלמה, ואמרו amen. As we turn the page, we rise for the Baruch Hu responsively. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMavorach. Baruch Adonai HaMavorach le'olam va'ed.
Let's turn to the top of page 149, page 3 of the Satellite Siddur. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. As we continue reading together, Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows.
Adonai Ha'ma'ariv Aravim. Avat olam Beit Yisrael Amcha Torah u'mitzvot Chukim u'mishpatim Otanu limadeta Al ken Adonai Eloheinu B'shovenu v'kumeinu Nasiach b'chukecha V'nismach b'divrei Toratecha U'v'mitzvotecha Le'olam va'ed Ki hem chayenu ve'orech yameinu uvahem negeh yomam v'layla ve'ahavtecha al tasir mimenu le'olamim Baruch atah Adonai Oheim Amo Yisrael Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam va'ed V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha B'chol levavecha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha V'hayu advarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom alevavecha v'shinantam levanecha ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
Let us turn to the top of page 157 in our prayer books, or page 5 of the Satellite Siddur. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness. Let's read together. There is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together.
Yai lai lai la lai la lai la lai la lai. Yai lai lai la lai la lai la lai. Yai lai la lai 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 la lai. Yai la lai lai yai la lai la lai. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai. Mi kamocha nadav b'kodesh. Nora tehilot osef ele. Nora tehilot osef ele. Malchutecha rahu banecha boker yam lifnei Moshe Miriam zeli anu v'yameru Adonai yimloch leolam vaed Adonai yimloch leolam vaed v'ne'emar kifad Adonai el Yaakov ugelom yad chazak mimenu Baruch atah Adonai Gal Yisrael. Yai lai lai la lai la lai la lai la lai. Yai la lai lai. Yai lai 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 lai.
Let's turn to middle of page 161, bottom of page 5 in the Satellite Siddur. Give us a place to rest, Adonai our God. Bring us into shelter in the soft, long evening shadows of your truth. For with you are true protection and safety, and in your presence are acceptance and gentle love. Together, watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread over us your shelter of peace, over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours.
Baruch atah Adonai Haborei Sukkot Shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai Haborei Sukkot Shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael. Ve'al Yerushalayim ve'al kol amo. ועל ירושלים שלום, ועל ירושלים ועל כל עמו, ועל ירושלים שלום. ברוך אתה אדוני הבורא סוכת שלום. שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
As we turn to the tefillah, the core of our Shabbat service, I ask that you please rise if you're able to, and return to page 164 in our prayer books, page 7 in the satellite Siddur. Either read silently through page 178 or say internally whatever you're feeling at this time. We'll come back together once everyone is seated. Please turn to page 179 and follow along silently. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of every land. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praise are you, Eternal One, who blesses our people with peace.
O say shalom b'morama, O ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen. O say shalom b'morama, O ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
Please turn to the middle of page 371 of your prayer book, page 9 of the satellite Siddur. We recite the Mishaberach prayer to ask God to send healing, strength, and comfort to those who are ill or facing challenges. It is also a way for the community to come together in compassion, hope, and support for one another. We have been asked to offer prayers for our JCI members and family: Leah Jacobson, Bert Thompson, Bert Posner, Larry Sasher, Beth Pavlo, George Cartman, Belle Finfer, Carol Gross, Aaron Alter, Arthur Doxson, June Streisand, John Righteous, Tony Pinto, and Audrey Snyder. JCMI friends and extended family: Julie Fitzgerald, Jane Barron, Brandon Ben Sharon, Pete Carochi, Bernie and Barbara Friedrich, Nan Needleman, Tom Boucher, Scott Snyder, Martha Eldridge Stark, Joan Reike, Mel Friedberg, Paula McIver, Howard Rosenblum, Reverend Timothy Navin, Margaret Gallivan, Deborah Posner, Arlene Merstein, Ann D'Onofrio, Irvin Shapiro, Lynn Hollander, Harold Hollander, Barbara Kretschmar, Pamela Michelle, Elaine Driscoll, Patrick Reedy, Arlene Reinhertz, Leah Rivka Bat Shavah Fiega, Zorach Mendel, Rachel Yehoved DeGron, Mordechai Noach DeGron, Joni Perlman, Eileen Jascott, Linda Shearer, Ryan Kalu. Please raise your hand if you would like to add additional.
Jeff Graham and Ralph Oppenheim, Del Fox, and Raheem Bain.
Please join Cantor Harry in singing the Mishaberach prayer.
Mishaberach Avotenu Bekor Avraham Leimotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misheberach imotenu mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
I invite Jonathan Greenfield for tonight's Kiddush and Hamotzi as we rise and turn to page 123 of our prayer book, page 10 in the satellite Siddur.
The seventh day is consecrated to the eternal God. On Shabbat, the eternal sign of creation, we remember that we are created in a divine image. We therefore raise the cup in thanksgiving. Let us read together on the top of the page. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam, borei peri hagofen. Blessed are you, eternal our God, sovereign of the universe, creator of the fruit of the vine.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kishanu b'mitzvotav b'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava u'ratzon hinchilanu, zikaron l'maaseh bereshit, ki hu yom techila l'mikra'ei kodesh, zecher l'tzion mitzrayim, ki banu bachata ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodecha be'ahava u'b'ratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh HaShabbat.
Amen. L'chaim.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Hava nagila, hava nagila, hava nagila v'nizmecha. Hava nagila, hava nagila, hava nagila v'nizmecha. Hava niranana, hava niranana, hava niranana v'nizmecha. Hava niranana, hava niranana, hava niranana v'nizmecha. Uru, Urachim, Urachim, Belev Samea, Urachim, Belev Samea, Urachim, Belev Samea, Urachim, Belev Samea, Urachim, Urachim, Belev Samea.
I'll tell them. Heather, up here.
It is my esteemed pleasure to invite up this week's Parashah presenter, Lynn Wilk, who's going to present Ki Tetzei.
Ki Tetzei, Deuteronomy 21:10 to 25:19. 74 of the Torah's 613 commandments make up Deuteronomy 21:10 to 25:19. These include a wide variety of laws given to Israel as they prepare to live in the Promised Land as a community of people in accordance with the covenant they made with God. Thank you. They can hear me. At first, many of these laws can seem unrelated because they address subjects ranging from marriage and family relationships to justice, personal responsibility, business practices, and the treatment of the vulnerable. However, when considered together, they reveal an important principle. God expected his people to reflect his holiness and justice in the ordinary circumstances of everyday life. These chapters emphasize that human dignity, fairness, compassion, responsibility, and obedience to God were to guide Israel's relationship with one another. One of the first subjects addressed is the treatment of women captured during warfare. Deuteronomy 21:10, verse 14, establishes restrictions on how a captured woman could be treated. If an Israelite man wished to marry her, she was given time to mourn her parents, and the man could not simply treat her as property. If he later decided that he did not want her, he was required to let her go freely rather than sell or enslave her. They placed limits on the power of Israelite men and provided for the protection of women. The chapter also addresses family relationships, particularly the inheritance rights of a firstborn son. Even if a father preferred another wife and her son, he was not permitted to deny the firstborn his legal inheritance. The firstborn was to receive a double portion. This demonstrates that personal preference could not override justice and established rights. The passage also emphasizes the responsibility of children to respect the authority of their parents and the responsibility of the community to preserve social order. Another important passage concerns a person who has been executed and placed on a tree. The body was not to remain there overnight because anyone who is hung on a tree is under God's curse. The body had to be buried that same day so that the land would not be defiled. This law demonstrates that even when someone has been punished for a serious offense, Israel was still required to treat the situation with dignity and recognize the holiness of the land God had given them. Deuteronomy 22 continues with laws concerning responsibility towards one's neighbor. If someone found a neighbor's lost animal or possessions, they were not allowed to simply ignore them. They were expected to return what had been lost. This principle goes beyond avoiding theft. It teaches that members of the community were responsible for one another. The chapter also contains laws concerning sexual morality, marriage, adultery, and accusations against a spouse. These laws emphasize the seriousness of sexual relationships and the importance of protecting marriage and family life. At the same time, the laws concerning accusations against a woman demonstrate that accusations were not supposed to be treated casually. Evidence and testimony mattered. The community was expected to distinguish between truth and false accusations. Deuteronomy 23 contains additional instructions concerning the holiness and organization of the Israelite community. It emphasizes that the camp was to remain clean because God was present among his people. Even ordinary bodily functions and sanitation were included within Israel's understanding of holiness. This illustrated a major biblical idea that holiness was not restricted to religious ceremonies. God's presence affected everyday behavior. The chapter also contains laws concerning runaway slaves, sexual morality, vows, interest, and personal generosity. An escaped slave was not to be forcibly returned to his master, which proved an important protection for someone who had fled. The laws concerning vows emphasize that a person's promises before God were serious and should be fulfilled. The instruction concerning lending and interest, meanwhile, show that economic relationships were also subject to God's standards. Israel was not to take advantage of fellow Israelites who were in need. Deuteronomy 24 continues this concern for justice and compassion. Divorce is addressed, but the chapter also gives numerous laws protecting people from exploitation. A person could not take someone's millstone as security for a debt, because in doing so, it would take away the means by which the person produced food. A poor person's cloak, taken as collateral, had to be returned by sunset so that the person would have something to sleep in. These laws demonstrate that economic hardship did not eliminate a person's dignity or basic needs. One of the strongest themes in this section is concern for the vulnerable. Deuteronomy 24 repeatedly refers to widows, orphans, foreigners, and the poor. When farmers harvested their fields, they were not to go back and collect every remaining portion. Some was to be left for those who were poor or for foreigners living among them. This practice provided an opportunity for people in need to obtain food while preserving their dignity and by allowing them to participate in the gathering themselves. Israel was also reminded that they had once been slaves in Egypt. Their own experience of oppression was supposed to make them compassionate toward others. Deuteronomy 25 continues the theme of justice. Judges were expected to make fair decisions, and punishment was to be limited and appropriate. The law concerning an ox treading grain emphasizes that animals were not to be treated cruelly. The passage also addresses the laws of a levirate marriage. Levirate marriage is one where a man dies with no children. The man's brother is to take the widow as his wife and bear children to continue the dead man's legacy. Although these laws arise from a very different social structure than the one familiar to modern readers, their underlying concern is the preservation of family responsibility and social stability. The chapter also addresses honest business practices. Israelites were commanded to use accurate weights and measures rather than cheating customers. God explicitly condemns dishonest scales and measurements. This is a significance because it shows that worship of God could not be separated from commercial behavior. A person could not claim to honor God while exploiting others in business. Integrity was expected in every area of life. Finally, the section ends with a reminder of the attack by the Amalekites against Israel when they were coming out of Egypt. Amalek attacked the vulnerable people who were lagging behind, showing no fear of God. Israel was commanded to remember what Amalek had done. This closing passage reinforces the larger theme of these chapters. God cares about how people treat those who are vulnerable and expects his people to oppose injustice. Taken as a whole, Deuteronomy 21:10 to 25:19 presents a vision of community life governed by God's justice. The laws cover many different situations, but they repeatedly return to several central principles. Promises are to be taken seriously. Property and business dealings are to be honest. Family responsibilities matter. Punishments must be governed by justice rather than revenge. Even animals are to be treated with consideration. These chapters challenge us to understand that biblical faith is not merely about religious worship. For Israel, faith in God was supposed to influence marriage, family, work, finances, agriculture, courts, treatment of strangers, and relationships with neighbors. The laws, therefore, reveal a God who cares about justice in both major and seemingly ordinary manners. For us, the specific laws cannot always be transferred directly to contemporary society because they were given to ancient Israel within a particular covenant. They call people to live with integrity, to protect those who are vulnerable, to treat others with dignity, and to recognize that obedience to God should shape everyday decisions. Deuteronomy 21:10 through 25:19 ultimately portrays a community in which justice and compassion are not separate from faith, but are expressions of faith itself. Shabbat Shalom.
Cool down. Shabbat Shalom. Lynn, that was fantastic. Thank you. Here are a few announcements of our congregational life. And for all you worshiping here tonight, please stay with us for our Oneg Shabbat following services. There's always delicious food, and as I always say, root beer floats. Tonight's Oneg was coordinated by Lynn Wilk, Mitch Brom, and Bob Jazz. Our lovely flowers right here. I'm usually going like that. My first time up here as president, by the way. Our lovely flowers are donated by Mitch Brom and Bob Jazz in memory of Ralph Edward Wolf, Mitch's cousin. This Sunday at 11 p.m. in the synagogue, we'll be meeting for services for Joan Thompson, support of her family and with ours, over to this cemetery and then back here for luncheon afterwards. There'll also be live streaming if you can't make it into the synagogue. You can find current details of everything in our happenings on our website, in the messenger, and our weekly email blasts. A few that I'd like to just point out. Bobby's Bakery is looking for sponsors for the 2027 bake sale. If you're interested, please submit, talk to the office for that. The Chess Club meets every Tuesday from 9:30 to 12. Please contact Irv Pavlov. The book club flyer is available throughout the building and on our websites. And the office is continually selling Memorial Yahrzeit candles. And it is official, as I've been talking about, New Year's Eve, we're going to have a concert dinner special. We're bringing back the cover of Bee Gees that we had last year here. Before that, we're having a dinner over at La Tavola. We're going to be getting out details probably over the next couple of weeks of a package deal or individual. And then after the concert, you can go back over to the restaurant for some dessert and champagne. High holiday preparations are underway and deadlines coming quick, so all participating, please talk to the listener in the office of anything that you might want to do or will have during the season. The film festival dates have been set. The movies themselves have not yet, but the dates have been posted. You can take a look at those. And please remember to bring food in whenever you come on Fridays or any days during the week. For less fortunate, you can leave them in the baskets up here or up front, or you may leave a donation in the Zaka box out in the front foyer. And now, as we move to the conclusion of our service tonight, I'd like to invite both Frank and Beth as our final honorees. And please turn your books to page 586. Shabbat Shalom.
And we rise. If the husband and wife are worthy, the divine presence abides with them. O eternal source of blessing, we turn to you in gratitude for the strength and devotion that have preserved and sustained Frank and Beth and permitted them to reach this hour. In the midst of our family, they look back upon the years that have passed since they first pledged themselves to one another. Many and varied have been their experiences since that day. Many have been the mingled occasions of fulfillment and disappointment. They recall the joys that graced their days with light and beauty. They also remember the difficult times that shook them. In joys and trials alike, O God, you have been with them. So may you continue to be with them, guiding and sustaining them in the years to come. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shehecheyanu v'kiyamanu v'higiyanu lazman hazeh. Sure. Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Tonight we offer Kaddish. Tonight we offer Kaddish for those observing Shiva. Joan Naomi Thompson.
Please be seated.
And for our loved ones for whom we are observing Yortzeit. Molly Aliker, Jerome Cantor, Samuel Donner, Simon Judah Eilenberg, Joseph Goodman, Eli Hervit, Samuel Katz, Herb Kern, Ernest Koppel, Louis Lang, Matt Merriam, Louis Mays, Miriam Miller, Yetta Parrish, Dr. Morris Passion, Harry Pullman, Ida Rosenberg, Rhoda Ross, Fanny Rothschild, Paul Stein, Shirley Samuel Stahn, Dorothy Werber, Ralph Edward Wolf. Is there anyone else who's... Heather?
My dear cousin, David Turner.
Please rise as we turn to page 598 in our prayer book, page 11 of the Satellite Siddur.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, ועלמא דברך יונותי וימליך מלכותי. בחייכון וביומייכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך לעלם ולעלמי עלמיה, יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא. V'yitadar v'yit'aleh v'yit'alal shemei dekucha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tush b'chata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma ve'imru. Amen. Yehi Shlomo Rabba min Shamaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru. Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to the bereaved. And let us say, Amen. And to conclude this evening's service, we turn to page 626 in the Mishkan Tefillah, page 12 in the Satellite Siddur. Ein Keloheinu, Ein Kadonenu, Ein Kimalkeinu, Ein Kamoshienu, Mi Keloheinu, Mi Kadonenu, Mi Kimalkeinu, Mi Kamoshienu, Nodel Eloheinu, Nodel Adonenu, Nodel Malkeinu, Nodel Moshienu, Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshienu, Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshienu. Shabbat Shalom. And let's all meet in the mirror room.
Later.